Ladies and gentlemen, contest number 2, brought to us by Oxyfire, is 4 3-minute rounds of boxing in the cruiserweight division. Introducing to you firstly, boxing out of the blue corner, wearing the black coloured shorts trimmed with white. At the weight he scale, 13 stone, 10 pounds, 8 ounces. Tonight is his 126th professional appearance, presenting from Klaipėda, Lithuania, Remigijus Ziausys. And opposing him, boxing out of the red corner, wearing the canvas-coloured shorts. At the weight he scale, 12 stone, 11 pounds, 8 ounces. From one contest, he has one win, presenting from Brighton, Seb Eubank. Timekeeper at the bell is Amjad Ditti, and the star referee in charge of the action from Preston, the world's finest, Mr. Phil Edwards, 4 3-minute rounds.
Okay, gentlemen, you follow my instructions. When I tell you to break cleanly and take a step back. Watch your heads in close. Touch gloves, good luck.
Here we go then. First time we've seen Seb Eubank box on the VIP show, of course.
And he's got that Eubank physique. Obviously, genetics plays a big part in these boxing dynasties as well. It'll be interesting to see what his power's like if he gets to show it at all in this fight.
Yeah, just settling in behind that jab. Yeah, we touched on it when he was walking to the ring then, but it's got to add a pressure to you being from a boxing background like that. You know, some fighters revel in it and some fighters struggle to deal with it. Interesting to see how he settles in here and over the next few months as he stays active. Yeah,
he's switch hitting as well so far in this round, and as you say, it's mostly the mental pressure of just living up to that family name and any expectations people have on you. But the fact he made his pro debut last year on a big show, had a year out of the ring, and he's making his second fight, almost his pro debut all over again on a smaller show, takes a lot of pressure off his shoulders.
Yeah, he's certainly settled in nicely, nice and relaxed style. And one thing we know for certain, he's going to have to work for his openings. Nice uppercut coming through the middle. Oh, it's so difficult to break down these journeyman opponents that have had 100+ fights. They've been there and done that.
Yeah, like we said, his opponent's had 100 defeats, only been stopped 4 times, so Eubank's going to be under no illusions of the fact that he might have to go the distance. It's only 4 rounds as well, and I imagine he'll be actually happy to get the 4 rounds. The last time his opponent was stopped was in October of 2017 against Andre Sterling. That was a 3rd round TKO loss. Obviously, he got back to his feet and the referee waved it off. So it'll be interesting to see what Eubank does over the course of the next 4 rounds.
Yeah, plenty of movement. You certainly don't feel any tension coming off him in this opening round. Like you said, it's like he's making his debut again after a long time out of the ring.
And he's got a totally different style to his brother and his father as well. Sometimes fighters do try to emulate their siblings or a parent's style. He seems to be trying to find his own style at the moment.
Yeah, he's just trying to prize an open. That was a nice left uppercut.
His shorts are interesting, Eubank. He's got pockets in his shorts. I'm wondering if he's got a roll of money in there or a spare gum shield or something. I don't think I've ever seen that before in a boxing ring.
I think Victor Adaga used to have pockets in his as well before he got his new pair.
Yeah, it's a strange one. He's got a zip-up pocket at the back as well, so maybe after he wins this fight he can go down to Susie Wong or whoever's down there neck of the woods and get himself a pair of pocketless shorts.
Yeah, added to the bill this week, there's always a danger that he'll been out of the gym or not had a full training camp, but he certainly looks in fantastic shape in there.
Yeah, and genetically speaking, he looks like he's got a good athletic physique as well, which is always a big bonus.
Coming towards the end of this first round, a solid opening round. Just started to find his rage towards the end of that first one.
And obviously a big thing for the people of Oldham tonight, Chris Eubank, seniors ringside. People have already asked him a couple of times for photographs. Former 2-time WBO world champion. Controversial character both inside and outside the ring during his career, but and he fought here in Manchester as well. He fought to that memorable draw with Nigel Benn at Old Trafford. great character, Eubank. I've heard many stories about him. I believe that prior to his big upset win over Nigel Benn, he spent the night watching Terry Thomas comedy films in his hotel room. Then he just suddenly stood up halfway through one of the comedy shows and said he wanted to go out for the walk to smell the night air. That was before the biggest night of his career. Then he went on to beat Ben as well. So there was always a lot of eccentricity whenever Eubank went. But it's good to see him tonight, ringside Oldham, supporting his son.
Yeah, he got that sheriff badge on as well, of course.
Yeah, Sheriff Eubank. I'm not sure what that's all about. His sartorial style is as eccentric as his personality, but it all builds to the Eubank mystique. And obviously Eubank had those 2 memorable fights with Carl Thompson, the Cat, based out of Champs Camp here in Manchester. Apparently, I think it was before the first fight, he turned up to the dressing room, Eubank seen you with wearing a pair of jodhpurs, and said to his trainer, Ronnie, it's time to remove my boots, which caused a few raised eyebrows among some of the more experienced people in the dressing room.
Yeah, you could talk all day about stories involved from his career. Getting back to the boxing, and we were speaking about it earlier, and Seb's got to establish himself as a fighter in his own right. There's only so far you can get living off the legacy that your dad created.
Yeah, I think that's an essential thing. Create your own identity and your own. You've got the brand, so to speak, in terms of the marketing with the Eubank name, but you also want to have an identity as well behind that. So he needs to fight often, I think. His style, interestingly, seems to have a bit of the Ingle edge to it in terms of the switch hitting and hands down and looking like he might be quite an elusive guy. So it'll be interesting to see as he moves on, when people actually come and bring a bit of fire to him, how he responds to that and whether his style manages to sustain itself under pressure. Yeah,
and with that style, there'll certainly be an exciting fights down the line. When he's matched against these other prospects. Campaigning at light heavyweight, of course. I saw Lyndon Arthur pop his head in the door earlier. He got another stoppage win last night. Eagle eyes on this one as a potential opponent in years to come. The division's booming at the moment as well, domestically, the light heavyweight division. It's a good time to enter it.
Yeah, like you say, it's a great division at the moment with a lot of names around. The litmus test will be whether those names actually step in the ring with each other. That's not always a given in boxing, both British and worldwide, but potentially there's a lot of really good fights on the table if everyone gets their heads together and gets it right.
Yeah, I know Seb will certainly be looking to get in the mix with that.
Like we say, the good thing about Seb is Seb Eubank is he looks to be his own man so far. We found that with the Smiths. The Smiths all had distinct personalities and boxing styles as well, even though they all hailed from the same fighting family and made history by holding British titles. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets to the level that his brother has managed to achieve. And obviously we forget Chris Eubank Jr. suffered a few defeats en route to his big win over James DeGale.
Yeah, absolutely.
He lost to Billy Joe Saunders and then lost to George Groves and looked really inept in both fights, and then just came and overpowered James DeGale really. But DeGale, I think, was a shell of him for himself.
Yeah, it was a prime example of how styles make fights.
Yeah, and I think DeGale had been on the downward slope for a couple of years. Another successful round there for Seb Eubank. Pretty much like the first round. He's not done anything too dramatic. He's just having a look at his opponent, switching stands, being quite elusive and popping off his own shots to make sure he gets the 2 rounds under his belt on the referee's scorecard.
Yeah, he's just settled into a rhythm in those opening 2 rounds. It's certainly not the style I was expecting to see when we saw him get in the ring, but it seems quite effective.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult style if he manages to maintain it throughout his career. He's going to be quite difficult for the opponents to figure out. A little wait for the glove there. I don't know if he's picked up an hand injury or whether he was just gesturing towards someone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just shaking that right hand in the corner as he emerged for this 3rd round. Something worth keeping an eye on.
And he's coming out stabbing the jab as well, so maybe he has picked up a slight injury to the right hand, and he could win these next 2 rounds based purely off his left hand from what we've seen so far as well.
Yeah, it'll certainly limit the switch hitting that he does anyway. You struggle to go southpaw if he has indeed injured that right hand. Just touching to the body with that jab. Yeah, there's certainly something amiss with that right hand. He's just touching with the jab there. There's no venom behind it with the right hand when he switched southpaw.
Yeah, and so far in this round he's flicked a couple of times. His jab's been quite good, but a couple of times there he just flicked it from the elbow. So maybe he's feeling the effects in his right hand and he's worried about also damaging the left and just trying to see his way through the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's so difficult for him to work an opening there as well so far. His opponent has shown pretty much nothing so far in the opening 2 rounds, no ambition at all.
And no matter what level you're at in boxing, no one wants to pick up an injury in a fight. It impedes you in the fight itself and then can put a cloud over your next fight.
Now, we talked about having a year out of the ring. It's important he keeps active now as well, isn't it? And then gets another 4-rounder in as soon as he can.
Yeah, and he's fighting a tough guy. And I imagine it's a tough opponent with an hard head, so he just bounced one of those right hands off it and picked up a little injury. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, I should say, because he doesn't want to be taking any more time out of the ring after a long hiatus between his first and second fights.
Just missing with that left uppercut. Minute to go in this 3rd round.
And as we say, as he progresses through his career, it'll be interesting to see when he takes big shots. His brother's got a really good chin, and his father was obviously famous for having an outstandingly strong chin. So, again, we mentioned genetics before, but sometimes it's a simple case of physical gifts like that in a sport like boxing being passed down from generation to generation. Apart from Marcus Frazier, of course, who had a chocolate pudding chin, and it was splattered every time he stepped up a level. Yeah, there's definitely something from Eubank this round in terms of that right hand. He's been very circumspect, but he's still winning the round just by flicking out jabs in the early part of the round.
And if there's ever a good time to pick up an injury in the ring, it probably would be tonight, wouldn't it? He hasn't had to use that right hand. He looks comfortable enough just using his jab.
Yeah, like we said, if he's got an injury in a fight like this, he's not going to have to worry about losing. He can do everything purely off the left hand, as he's been doing so far. Landed a nice little left uppercut there as well.
Yeah, and he threw that right hand to the body there and winced as well. Certainly something missed with that hand, as we've been saying during the round. 1 more to go in this scheduled 4-rounder. Hashtag VIP Boxing Live on Twitter, of course. Let us know what you thought of Kane Gardner's performance, and also Seb's in there right now. Who are you looking forward to seeing tonight? Comment on the usual platforms on Facebook. We're live across in Germany, across all the various channels that we stream our shows on now. So let us know what you think. We'll read some of your comments out. Hopefully we'll be joined by a couple of boxers throughout the night as well. Give you a bit of a change from me and Terry. Yeah,
we'll have a few people joining us tonight. Eubank seems fairly relaxed in the corner. He's listening intently to the instructions from Scott Welsh. They'll just be looking forward to getting into the dressing room, getting the glove off and having a look at what the damage is, if any. Maybe it's just a sprain, hopefully it's not a break.
Yeah, he was moving his hand there anyway in that glove. You can see it was flexing, so hopefully it's nothing too serious.
Because, as you say, ideally he'd want to be fighting again next month or maybe the month after, just try and recoup the lost time that he's had in terms of the year off between his debut and his second performance.
He's really starting to unload with that left hand. It would have been an interesting final round, this, if he hadn't have picked up that injury.
Yeah, if you think if he wouldn't have picked up the injury, he could have put a lot more pressure on his opponent. That last round was totally different than the first and second round in terms of his punch output almost being exclusively left-handed, and as you say, wincing a couple of times when he landed the right hand.
Yeah, and of course it's so difficult to up the tempo when you can only use one hand.
But he's done a good job because he's got the switch hitting style as well. It's allowed him to compensate for the fact he's not got the right hand by throwing the left hand from different angles and different positions. So that's been a good advantage for him tonight in terms of the injury and what he can do.
Yeah, and it's a box ticked as well, isn't it, early on in his career? No, I suppose it's better to pick up this injury now in a 4-rounder. You know how it feels to grit your teeth and get through it then if he was fighting for titles over a longer distance.
Yeah, and injuries are always occurring in boxing. I spoke to Mike Ayton, the hand specialist, last year about it, and he just said you can create specialised wrappings for the hand and everything, but ultimately it's an impact sport. You're punching someone into the cranium, so you are going to pick up injuries throughout the course of your career. Obviously, famously, Floyd Mayweather had really difficult hand injuries throughout the course of his career, but didn't do too badly himself. And his hands still seem pretty adept when he's counting his money, so he must imagine he had some really decent hand specialists on the case.
Yeah, it certainly didn't affect him too much. Minutes ago in this final round, it's been a comfortable night this for Seb Eubank.
But like we say, an hand injury can be a terrible thing. Famously, the only real knockdown Floyd Mayweather suffered was when he took a knee because of an hand injury against Emmanuel Augustus. So people see that on his record and think it was a knockdown, but when you watch the fight again, Mayweather was clearly badly injured in terms of his hand and decided to take a knee just for the brief respite. Interestingly, Eubank himself just took a right hand there and just kind of shook it off and asked his opponent to come on to him.
Yeah, I think that was the first shot he'd taken in this fight, actually. He's loading up with that left hand now. 30 seconds to go in the final round. He found his range very early on in this one, Eubank. And he just continued as he started. Nice settled performance, not rushed any of his work, picked his shots nicely.
Yeah, and his head movement looks good there. He slips away from a couple of jabs, so he looks like he's got some decent skills, and if he can bring them together, he might be a decent prospect for people to look out for, and people are going to look out for him because of his family name.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a case of job done that for Seb Eubank. After time out the ring, he's done the 4 rounds comfortably.
His dad must be very proud of him as well. He's got a number of fighting Eubanks out there already. Obviously, Chris Eubank Jr. is the one that's been taking all the headlines, but Seb might be able to come across quietly with advice from his dad and his brother, and maybe 10 fights down the line might start making some headlines himself. I mean, like we say, after the family name, his first pro debut he was mentioned in the Daily Mail. His second fight that was meant to take place was mentioned in the Independent, so he's going to get press coverage on the basis of his father's name, and that's not a bad thing for a young fighter.
Now we'll hand over to the MC Michael Fast to get the official result. Don't think this one's in any doubt though.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing action, star referee Phil Edwards has scored the contest 40 points to 36 points for your winner. Now undefeated in 2 professional contests from Brighton, Seb Eubank. And your appreciation, please, for Remigijus Ziausys. Ladies and gentlemen, there'll be a slight delay until our next contest because our Continental Boxers trainer is bringing out the next boxer. Leaving the building, the former WBO middle and super middleweight champion of the world, Chris Eubank, simply the best. Safe journey home to the Eubanks.
So Chris Eubank has left the building, stage left. Obviously a bunch of people there trying to get photographs with him, but like you say, would have been proud of what he saw tonight. I know the son fighting, even though he says he doesn't like the sport, Eubank Senior, he still had a few opponents out, a few people off the generation conveyor belt.
Next up, Mark Leach in a 6th rounder. Jack Kilgannon after that in with Geraint Goodridge, and then Jake James with Ben Fields. It could be fight of the night. John Evans has grabbed Seb Eubank ringside, and we can get a few words from him now.
Well, Seb, it's been a year since your debut. Didn't look like any old nerves resurfaced there. You look nice and comfortable. How did you feel?
Yeah, feel good. Feel comfortable back in the ring. We'll keep it up now.
It's a long way from home to come for a quick 4-rounder. It's just like a sign that you're going to be taking this series now, getting more and more active, get out on these shows and build this experience.
Yeah, I just came back from a training camp with Lawrence Okoli in Morocco, so I had some good rounds out there sparring with him, some good experience, ready to roll on these fights now. Once a month, twice a month, to get me out there.
Now, you've been around the big shows so far in your career. How does it feel to be somewhere like this? You know, this is where fighters are made, isn't it? A real blood and guts and spit and sawdust type thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it brings back fond memories of the amateur game. You know, it's a nice venue, it's small, but it's all we need to get busy in the ring.
Now, we've got plenty of people watching all around the world tonight. Any quick message before you shoot off?
No messages, just watch out for me If you want to stay posted, you can check me out on my Instagram at Seb Eubank. I also have a YouTube channel, The Alkalion. So check that out and you can keep updated with my journey. Thanks for the support, guys.
Excellent. Back to Luke.